Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for January the 2nd, 2020. Today we're going to talk about the next possible candidate to succeed Jeremy Corbyn. The candidate in question is more commonly known as Sir Keir Starmer. While not a fan of the title Sir, he did accept his knighthood, so Sir Keir Starmer it is. Sir Keir Starmer is the current shadow Brexit secretary and assumed office in 2016. Less than a year after becoming a Member of Parliament for Holborn and St Pancras, where he succeeded Frank Dobson with a majority of 48.9%. Not even a joke, the guy's in a very secure seat. He is very notable for hammering any Brexit secretary that has been in office since he himself was the shadow Brexit secretary, because his background in legal areas, more commonly as a director for public prosecutions, a job which we'll get to in a moment, means he's not exactly as easily led astray. He's a bit of an idiot when it comes to Brexit, in one very key respect, and that was that he was backing another referendum. That was his position. No matter how many times Labour flip-flopped, he was very consistent on it, which I guess also makes it admirable. Now, when he was Director of Public Prosecutions, he is most notable for hammering Chris Huhne and his former wife Vicky Pryce. Chris Huhne was the Energy Secretary back in 2012, and they both went down for perverting the course of justice. However, he was also involved in a rather pathetic sham more commonly known as the Twitter joke trial, where a man called Paul Chambers, an airline passenger who was frustrated at airport delays, posted a joke about Doncaster Sheffield Airport on Twitter. Paul Chambers was then convicted of sending a message of a menacing character. Now, the CPS said the decision was out of Starmer's hands and that it was a Crown Court decision. This all came about because Nick Cohen, a journalist, published allegations that Starmer was personally responsible for the continued prosecution of Paul Chambers. And it wasn't long after that he left office, Sir Keir Starmer, that is, or Keir Starmer at the time, to be replaced by Alison Saunders. And then in 2013, the Labour Party announced that Starmer would lead an inquiry into changing the law to give further protection to victims in cases of rape and child abuse, mispronounced on purpose, but this will get demonetised regardless. Now, as far as his political career goes, he had originally resigned from a job as Shadow Home Office Minister when Corbyn appointed him that, because actually he wasn't a fan of the leadership of the party, because he supported Owen Smith, much like Tom Watson. He then took over the Shadow Brexit Secretary job, taking over from Emily Thornberry, because she was rubbish. And when he took up that post, he had to resign from a consultancy position with a law firm specialising in human rights that acted for Gina Miller in bringing legal proceedings against the Brexit Secretary. Yeah, he couldn't be, involved in that. Moving on from that, there is a YouGov poll of just over 1,000 Labour members for the Economic and Social Research Council Party Members Project, who voted for, in the last 10 days of December, who they would like to be the next leader of the Labour Party. 31% chose Sir Keir Starmer, 20% Rebecca Long-Bailey, 11% Jess Phillips, 7% Yvette Cooper, 7% also for Clive Lewis, 6% for Emily Thornberry, and 5% for Lisa Nandy. For those that don't know how the Labour Party voting system goes, they use a preferential voting system, meaning that members are asked to rank who they want to fit in numerical order. If no one gets more than 50%, then one candidate is knocked out in each round, and the votes of the eliminated candidates are redistributed amongst the others. Under the voting system used in this contest, Miss Nandy will be knocked out, more than likely. Then it is more than likely Emily Thornberry, Clive Lewis, Yvette Cooper and Jess Phillips out before round 5, which means that it's more than likely Sir Keir Starmer, based on that poll, will win with 61% of the vote. Now, many have said they don't want another white man in charge of the party. I take the firm stance of those people I've mentioned, arguably, he's the best candidate for a legitimate position. However, there is a major flaw, and that is that because of his background, including his academic background, he is not in touch, or can be considered in touch, with the Labour heartlands that they have lost. Interesting factoid as well, he and I went to the same school. I didn't know that until I looked it up and was like, wow, okay, good to know. I'm still better. With Sir Keir Starmer being considered a favourite, others have dubbed this a blow to continuity Corbyn, in the sense that because of his political views, and him obviously not being as far left as that of Jeremy Corbyn, he will take the party back slightly more towards the centre, but not. To appease the more progressive candidates that are the vocal minority in a very big party that has diminished because they lost their heartlands because of the vocal minority, the party is in turmoil and needs to be readjusted, cemented, legitimised. Whatever it is they need to do to prove they are a party we can vote for again, they need to do it. And in truth, it'll be rather interesting to see if Sir Keir Starmer is the right person. We can't truly say. Much like Rebecca Long-Bailey, he's only been in office for 4 years. But he has been very vocal in what he has been doing with regards to Brexit, and at least he had a position. Since the election, he has kept his mouth shut a little, and will undoubtedly have to answer questions about the position he held, which cost Labour seats, and how he might try and take the party forward should he announce officially that he is going to take the party forward to try and dethrone Boris, which is unlikely. But of the candidates mentioned, he won't resort to gender because he, like Boris, male, not going to happen. I expect it with Rebecca Long-Bailey, cause I expect terms like mansplaining to crop up. I don't expect it to be resorted to identity politics because it appears, based on Keir Starmer's own background, many of which, debates-wise, I have watched, he doesn't resort that low. But he is incredibly witty, and I think he could be more of a challenge. Granted, I think Diane Abbott would be a lot funnier, and yes, I want to laugh more, but I also want to see a legitimate party come up and challenge Boris. We need that in our politics, not a party that is a literal walking cliche and joke. As with all topics I cover, I am very much interested to know what you think about this. And if you think Sir Keir Starmer might be a better option to Rebecca Long-Bailey, or whether we should listen to John McDonnell, who says the next leader has to be a woman, 'cause woman, which I disagree with fundamentally, because I don't think gender matters, or sex, whichever you want to go with, matters as much as they claim. The only reason they want to do it, realistically, is less about the experience of the person taking office, and more about saying, right, we've now had a woman in charge, so we now don't get accused of not having a woman in charge of our party, because they've never had one, and apparently that matters. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening. I'll see you all tomorrow.